Tonight on Global TV News Prime, lawmakers move to enforce appearance of agencies in port revenue investigation. In business, House of Representatives moves to probe safety of locally made grinding machines. On the foreign scene, South Africa summons new U.S. envoy amid fractured ties. And tonight in sports, Lagos set to host second Amazons tennis tournament. Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to News Prime on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I'm Uyi Agmofwebe, reminding our viewers that we are on DSTV channel 365 and on Star Times channel 276. Tonight we begin by telling you the Committee of the House of Representatives has warned chief executives of the Nigerian Ports Authority, the Nigeria Customs Service, and the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission to avail themselves of the final opportunity to submit to the panel or have themselves to blame. Chairman of the committee, Kolawole Akinlayo, lamented the behavior of some ministries, departments, and agencies of government to the invitations extended to them by the committee, warning that failure to submit the required documents would render the works of the panel difficult. The ad hoc committee was inaugurated on February 3rd, 2026 by the Speaker, Tajuddin Abbas, to, among others, examine the terms and conditions of consensual agreements entered into from 2006 to 2025, assess revenue flows, remittances, and other financial benefits accruing to the federal government and its agencies, as well as review the compliance with contractual, regulatory, and safety obligations by concessionaires. The Council of Legal Education has released their list of 114 universities approved to run law programs in Nigeria. In a circular issued, the council says only the listed universities are authorized to admit students into the Bachelor of Laws program in the country. The circular, signed by the council's secretary and director of training, also indicated that Aderonke Osho warned that any university running a law program without approval would face sanctions. The council further said students admitted into unapproved law programs would not be eligible for admission into the Nigerian Law School. The Federal High Court in Abuja has fixed April 1 for the fresh arraignment of a former Jigawa State Governor, Sule Lamido, alongside his two sons, Aminu and Mustafa, over an alleged 1.35 billion naira money laundering case filed by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. The arraignment will also involve two companies linked to the family, Bamena Holdings Limited and Speeds International Limited. Trial Judge Justice Peter Lifu fixed the date after the defendants were absent in court to take their plea. The defendants' counsel, Joe Agi, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, apologized to the courts for their absence, explaining that the notice of proceedings reached them late on Thursday. A coalition of civil society organizations, maritime experts, and policy analysts are raising fresh concerns over Nigeria's offshore boundaries and oil resource ownership in the Cross River Maritime Corridor, following a fact-finding mission to the disputed offshore areas bordering Cameroon and Equatorial Guinea. The group is urging the president to urgently investigate alleged boundary errors, oil revenue allocation, and possible loss of Nigerian maritime territory. Aniete Patrick has details.
A coalition of civil society organizations say Nigeria may be losing critical maritime territory and oil revenues due to unresolved boundary demarcation and administrative decisions affecting the Cross River Maritime Corridor. During a verification mission to offshore areas near the former Bakassi Peninsula and hydrocarbon blocks OML 114, 115, and 123, the group examined maritime maps, international legal documents, and conducted physical observations at sea. Their findings suggest that Nigeria's Cross River estuary remains a legitimate gateway to the Atlantic Ocean and was not ceded under the 2002 ruling of the International Court of Justice that resolved the Bakassi dispute between Nigeria and Cameroon.
Developed Ekanga and Zafiro fields between Nigeria and Equatorial Guinea, estimated as over $8 billion, have been remitted into the federal account, requires immediate investigation.
The coalition says the ruling only transferred specific settlements in southern Bakassi to Cameroon, while other areas, including parts of the Cross River Maritime Corridor, remained within Nigeria's territorial framework. However, the group warns that a temporary maritime implementation map introduced in 2008 may have effectively closed Nigeria's sea access in that corridor, raising concerns over sovereignty, oil derivation, and national security. According to the report, technical mapping exercises indicate that about 780 hectares of maritime waters within the Cross River estuary may have been inadvertently ceded.
Office of the Surveyor General of the Federation and the RAMFAC to submit the 2024 oil verification report, which confirmed 67 oil wells within Cross River State and 18 oil wells within Akwa Ibom State, to the President and Commander-in-Chief prior to the disbursement of derivation funds, represent a serious breach of constitutional financial governance procedure.
Civil society representations say the situation has also fueled tensions between Cross River and Akwa Ibom states over oil ownership and derivation revenues. They argued that failure to address the issue could create economic and security implications for communities in the region. The coalition is now recommending an independent presidential investigation, proper demarcation of the Nigeria-Cameroon maritime boundary, and a forensic audit of revenues linked to offshore oil fields. Aniete Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
The Board of Trustees of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, has called for unity among members as the party continues its efforts to resolve its lingering leadership crisis. The appeal was made during the 86th meeting of the party's Board of Trustees held in Abuja. Kabir Hassan has details.
Chairman of the Board of Trustees, Mao Ahabunwa, described the meeting as a defining moment for the party, urging members to embrace reconciliation and strengthen internal structure ahead of 2027 general elections. Noted that the recent ward and local government congresses across the country were largely peaceful and demonstrated the party's commitment to grassroots democracy.
To state clearly that yes, it's an intra-party issue, but the resolution was not based on intra-party issues. It was based on the fact that we negated and neglected our constitutional benevolence, and that's what led to where we are today. And we want to say that for this Board of Trustees, we will ensure that we uphold the rule of law, we ensure that the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the Constitution of PDP, the guidelines and the Electoral Act will be a guiding principle moving forward.
Also speaking at the meeting, Chairman of the National Caretaker Working Committee, Abdurrahman Mohammed, urged party stakeholders to rally behind the committee as preparations continue for the PDP National Convention, scheduled for March 29th and 30th.
As such, I urge all stakeholders, party leaders, party members, and supporters to rally around the National Caretaker Working Committee as we prepare to approach the activities towards the 2027 general elections.
The meeting comes amid ongoing efforts by the party leaders to restore stability following recent court ruling on party's leadership structure. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
Thank you so very much, Kabir. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has pledged a massive infrastructure revolution for Gwagwalada Area Council following the conclusion of his thank you visit to the area. Wike said the move is aimed at improving the living conditions of residents, as he promised the immediate provision of portable water in Zuba and the commencement of several developmental projects across the council. Again, here are details of that report by Kabir Hassan.
Addressing a large crowd of enthusiastic residents, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike stated that his administration is committed to delivering infrastructure that transforms the lives of the people at the grassroots. The minister emphasizes that provision of basic amenities, particularly clean water, is a priority under the Renewed Hope agenda. Wike commending the residents for electing Mohammed Kasim as their chairman. Wike noted that the era of political differences is over, making a way for a unified effort to develop the territory.
You have talked about water. I felt so bad that you don't have water in Zuba. What I will tell you, that is consider it done. I will work with him to make sure that we provide infrastructure to Gwagwalada.
Speaking on the water intervention, the minister announced the approval of a third-class chieftaincy title for Gwari people, a gesture aimed at preserving the cultural heritage of the indigenous community. Responding to the minister's pledge, the chairman-elect of Gwagwalada Area Council, Mohammed Kasim, expressed gratitude for the intervention, promising to align with the FCT administration to ensure a swift delivery of this project. The visit marks the end of the minister's tour across 6 area councils, leaving residents with high expectation for a new wave of development. Kabir Hassan, reporting for Global TV News.
Now time to turn to other stories for you. Millions of Muslims across the globe marked the last Friday of Ramadan today, a day of deep reflection, gratitude and prayer as the holy month nears its end. Our correspondent Sadia Yakubu reports.
Known as the final Jumu'ah of Ramadan, today drew large congregations to mosques, with worshippers coming together to pray, reflect and give thanks after weeks of fasting, devotion and charity. For many, it's a moment to look back on their spiritual journey throughout the month.
Thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us this great opportunity to witness the last 10 days of Ramadan, where Muslims of the world are trying to be devoted to their duties, especially to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to recite the Holy Quran, to stand in the night to pray so that we can witness the night of power.
During Ramadan, Muslims fast from dawn to sunset, dedicating themselves to prayer, acts of kindness and self-discipline. Today's prayer served as a reminder to strengthen faith and continue acts of compassion. Religious leaders use the sermon to encourage worshippers to seek forgiveness and make the most of the remaining days before Eid al-Fitr.
I'm appealing to Muslim people, especially in the last 10 days of Ramadan, we should continue to come near and closer to our Creator, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should double our efforts. The prayers are accepted in these days, especially the public prayers. We don't have any country other than Nigeria, and Nigeria needs to be stabilized.
The last Friday of Ramadan teaches patience, devotion and generosity, lessons that should continue beyond the holy month. Communities across Nigeria and around the world are carrying these values forward through night prayers, charity and service. As Ramadan draws to a close, the spirit of compassion and spiritual renewal continues to guide communities everywhere, leading up to the celebration of Eid al-Fitr. Sadia Yakubu for Global Television News.
This is Global Television and you're watching the broadcast of News Prime. The rest of the news continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Temperatures are expected to climb into their lower 40s in some extreme northern areas, so it's going to be quite hot out there. Moving down into the north-central region, skies will be partly cloudy for much of the day. Now, if you're waking up in some parts of Bayelsa, Delta, Cross River, and River State, you may want to keep an umbrella close by, as morning thunderstorms are expected in these areas. Now, as we head into the evening hours, rain chances begin to increase as more moisture pushes into the country. This means isolated thunderstorms will develop over southern Adamawa, southern Kaduna, parts of Plateau State, Benue, the Federal Capital Territory, Nasarawa, and Kogi State. Many cities across the southern half of the country could see some showers and thunderstorms later in the day. And with the high temperatures expected over the north, residents are advised to reduce prolonged outdoor activities, stay well hydrated, and wear light breathable clothing. And that's the weather forecast. Stay weather aware. I am Akami Samarda.
Well, thank you so very much for staying with us on the news here tonight. The second part of this broadcast now returns with business, where the House of Representatives has ordered an investigation into reports that locally fabricated grinding machines used in food preparation may pose serious health risks to Nigerians. The directive followed the adoption of a motion of urgent public importance moved by a lawmaker representing Ekpe Federal Constituency of Lagos State, Wale Raji, during plenary. National Assembly correspondent Anieti Patrick completes the report.
Leading the debate, Raji cited findings by the Federal Institute of Industrial Research warning that contamination during the grinding process could expose users to dangerous heavy metals. He warned that prolonged exposure to such metals could lead to severe health complications, including organ failure and cardiovascular diseases.
The use of grinding machine, the local grinding machine in preparation of food, has been traced to rising cases of kidney organ failure and cardiovascular diseases in Nigeria.
Following the debate, the House mandated its committees on health care services, industry, science and technology, and commerce to jointly investigate the claims and report back within 6 weeks for possible legislative action. Meanwhile, plenary also witnessed a wave of defections as 12 lawmakers announced their movements to new political parties. Deputy Speaker of the House, Benjamin Kalu, read the notices of defection on the floor of the chamber. 3 lawmakers from Anambra State, Victor Afam Ogene, Peter Anikwe, and Lillian Obiageli, moved from the Labour Party to the African Democratic Congress. Also, Peter Ozokwe defected from the Young Progressives Party to the African Democratic Congress, while Omori Osaro joined the ADC from the Labour Party.
Is moving from PDP to APC.
From the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressives Congress were Zakaria Yampa, Mohamed Bargaja, James Baka, Kobis Timo, Bitrus Nkwamuti, and Midala Balami. Also defecting was Jesse Onukalusi, who moved from the Labour Party to the All Progressives Congress. The lawmakers attributed their defections to persistent internal crisis within their former parties. The House, however, adjourned to the 31st of March 2026. From the National Assembly, Anieti Patrick, reporting for Global TV News.
Stakeholders in the oil sector are demanding an immediate end to what they have described as a monopoly in Nigeria's pipeline surveillance system. They say the current system lacks transparency, shuts out many host communities, and does not align with the provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA. Correspondent Sadia Yakubu was there for Global Television.
The stakeholder in oil sector is calling for urgent reforms to open up pipeline surveillance operations and ensure broader participation by host communities across the Niger Delta. National President of the Congress, Julius Malon Obi, says despite trillions of naira spent over the years on pipeline protection contracts, many oil-producing communities remain sidelined from the process. According to the group, involving indigenous communities directly in protecting pipelines will strengthen security around oil installations and promote greater accountability in the management of surveillance contracts.
We therefore call for urgent national action. The federal government must immediately, 1, conduct a comprehensive audit of all pipeline surveillance contracts currently in operation. 2, publish the terms, beneficiaries, and financial scope of this contract.
The Congress also drew attention to plight of women in oil-producing communities, saying they have endured decades of environmental degradation and economic hardship caused by oil exploration, yet remain largely excluded from opportunities tied to protecting and managing their land resources.
We must also address an issue that has been consistently overlooked: the role of women. Women in oil producing communities have borne enormous environmental and economic hardship due to decades of oil exploitation, yet they remain largely excluded from opportunities related to protecting their land resources.
The group maintains that pipeline surveillance must reflect the diversity of Niger Delta, with indigenous stakeholders from host communities actively involved and clear accountability mechanisms in place to prevent sabotage and safeguard Nigeria's critical oil infrastructure. Sadia Akubu for Global TV News.
Many thanks to you. Let's turn to the foreign scene now, where South Africa has summoned the new United States Ambassador Brent Bozell to explain what President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration has described as his undiplomatic remarks about the country's racial policies and court decisions. Speaking at the press conference, South Africa's Foreign Minister Ronald Lamola noted that the relationship between both countries is not lopsided. Zarau Nasir has more.
In his first public address this week, the new ambassador leveled an apartheid-era chant "Kill the Boer, kill the farmer" as hate speech and criticized policies meant to empower black South Africans. Lamola said Bozell's role as a guest is to support South Africa to build one nation and to take it back to a polarized society along racial lines.
The Department of International Relations and Cooperation has noted recent public remarks made by the United States Ambassador to South Africa. While South Africa welcomes active public diplomacy and the strengthening of bilateral ties, we emphasize that such engagements must remain consistent with established diplomatic etiquette and international protocols. In this regard, we have called in the Ambassador of the United States, Ambassador Bozell, to explain his undiplomatic remarks.
It is controversial in South Africa, but courts have ruled it does not constitute hate speech and should be criticized in the context of the struggle against white minority rule that ended in 1994. Zahra Unasir, reporting for Global TV.
Oh, thank you so very much, Zahra. Israeli warplanes are carrying out airstrikes in several areas in southern Lebanon. Airstrikes have targeted a house in Atit in the Tara district, as well as a building in Gazieh, south of Sidon. Attacks also hit the town of Kfar Dunin in Nabatea Governorate, the agency reported. Let's go get some excitement from the world of sports now. The countdown is officially on as 100 days remain till one of the most anticipated moments in FIFA World Cup history, the 1000th match of the tournament. Tunisia and Japan will step onto the pitch at the iconic stadium in Mexico to contest this historic fixture, marking a milestone that underscores the enduring legacy of the world's most popular sporting event. The FIFA World Cup, held every 4 years, has grown into a global celebration of football, bringing together nations and fans from every continent. Manchester City striker Erling Haaland's agent, Rafaela Pimenta, has disclaimed talks that have been held over a potential move to Barcelona. Barca presidential hopeful Victor Font said he was negotiating a preferential option to sign Haaland should he decides to leave City. However, Pimenta contradicted Font, saying the Norway international is happy at the Premier League side, where he recently renewed his contract until 2034. Let's bring Global TV News Prime to an end tonight by looking at some of our big stories. The House of Representatives Law Committee investigating the performance and benefits accruing to the federal government from concessionaire-operated ports has threatened to invoke its constitutional powers to compel government agencies to appear before it for questioning. In business, the House of Representatives has declared an investigation into reports that locally fabricated grinding machines used in food preparation may pose serious health risks to Nigerians. On the foreign scene, South Africa has summoned the new United States Ambassador Brent Buzzel to explain what President Cyril Ramaphosa's administration has described as his undiplomatic remarks about the country's racial policies and court decision. And finally, in sport, we told you the countdown is officially on as 100 days remain till one of the most anticipated moments in FIFA World Cup history, the 1000th match of the tournament. And as News Prime tonight, a quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV, channel 365, and Star Times on channel 276. Kindly follow us across all of our social media platforms using at Global TV NG, as well as other handles, as you now see on your screen. On behalf of my colleagues who have made this news broadcast possible, I'm Uyi Agmofwegbe in Abuja, Nigeria's capital, saying have a big weekend.